Lexy Nazaire. So Lexy Nazaire came to me in a class at NYU, and she came in to teach us meditation and to bring meditation to our psychology class. It was a foundations class. And what's a foundations class? Yes?
I think it was a human growth and development class.
Human growth. Mm,
Was
I
it?
forget. I forget. Anyway, um, but anyway, so my professor brought this young woman in, and I was sitting there in my Zoom NYU classroom
In
saying,
your
okay, what's going on here? I'm like, is this what am I doing? And I had no idea how that interaction was going to change my life, because thank you to Dr. A, he just brings great people together, and I can't wait till he comes on. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm starting with you, because you've always been like, I don't want to like sound like I'm your mom or anything, saying I'm so proud and whatever, but I am. I've always been so proud of you, but at the same time, you've been such a great inspiration and a help to me. And man, man, were we happy when you got into Stanford.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
so now I don't want to mess it up, so please say what you're doing at Stanford.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm a clinical psychology student. I'm in the PGSP Stanford PsyD Consortium. I'm in my second year, not going into. Um, yeah, and I'm happy to be here and to talk about freedom, whatever that means, whatever that is. I think we could be here for hours and
Yeah,
days about
I
this.
mean, when we were just talking about doing this podcast, the first podcast, we're like, okay, I think the first thing we have to do is, what is freedom? I mean, from a psychological perspective, from a layperson perspective, from my perspective, from your perspective, like, what the heck is freedom? Because after all, how free do you want to be is the name of this podcast. And the reason why that's the name of the podcast is because I heard someone say it at a lecture,
Mm,
and she just was having a conversation with us. And I'm not even, we were talking about personal freedoms and just the false, the lies we tell ourselves because we're afraid, or um, we
mhm.
don't have the capacity to really make proper choices for ourselves. So we take the easy way out, or we're just afraid, or we're just nervous, or we're just been wired the wrong way. I don't know, all kinds of things we were talking about. And
Yeah.
she said, after all, how free do you want to be? And from that moment on, it just like stuck in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it was before we launched Exicor Wellness, where you started out teaching some yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And and I started out doing a bunch of things, not thinking about a podcast, but then just I just felt like all the conversations we were having, people needed to hear, because they were pretty good. Like, they were really interesting, and they were informative, where we were just throwing it all out on the table. And like, wow, I wish we would have recorded that, because
Yeah.
people people could relate. And it's important to not feel isolated when you're thinking these thoughts and you're feeling these feelings, and know that other people are feeling it. So I just want to get right into it for a minute, and then we could kind of just see where it goes, right? Because I mean, to me, personal freedom
Mhm.
is what I'm talking about. And personal freedom is just having, I don't want to use the word courage, because then it might assume that people are not brave, but I'm just going to talk and let people sort it out, because I can't do all that.
Speak freely.
Speak freely. Yes, an
Yes. Freely.
unencumbered conversation. Yeah.
Yes.
So for
Yes.
me, it's making a choice to do something because I feel it's the right thing to do, whether it's the right thing to do for me, whether it's the right thing to do for someone else that pleases me, or it's something that I'd like to see happen for this person and I'm willing to give that to them, um, without thinking through so many other things that I would always think through.
What are other people gonna say? What
Right.
happens if it doesn't work out, like the fear behind it,
Yeah.
um, different things people have told us in the past,
Yes.
all these different things that go into making a decision that
Yeah. That's influence and coercion. I like to call that, right?
mm,
Influence and coercion. Like, how are other people, other the things people have said to me over my lifetime? How does that influence me? Or how am I being coerced into doing something? Whether it be somebody's doing something, or I think they're going to do something or act a certain way. So I want to people please them. It just is.
I just, but also, Maria, what you're saying now, I think takes an extra level of insight. Like sometimes people don't even know what is my thought versus what is someone else's thought. It's like it's all intertwined, right?
Mhm.
And it's like it's not even your own thought anymore. It's like your mom's thought or your friend's thought, and you don't even realize that they have influenced you to the point where you don't, it's not even your decision anymore.
Oh my God, that is so true. That is so true. And that, I think, therein lies the beginning of layering the layers of resentment,
Mm,
beginning the layers of resentment, right? So after a while, like, I know for me, I'll speak for myself, if I was doing something over and over again because I felt somebody wanted me to do it, or they would act a certain way if I didn't do it, or I just needed to please them to keep peace, or whatever it was, um, it just, the layers of resentment just started, this just started layering on. And
yeah.
sorry that somebody's cutting the grass outside here. Year after year, day after day, you smush it down, smush it down, smush it down, smush it down, but then it just keeps going, and then there's just no room anymore. There's no more room for smushing.
Yeah. And when people start to feel that resentment, sometimes they don't even know where it's coming from.
Yes.
And they're just acting. You see those behaviors, but they don't even check in with themselves and say, why do I feel this resentment towards this person? Why am I so short with them? Why am I so like annoyed with them? But it's because you're acting in a way that you think they want you to behave.
Mm-hmm.
They might not even want you to behave that way, but you
Mm-hmm.
have all these like assumptions in your mind and all this stuff going on in here, but you're not communicating that because of either something that happened in your childhood or something that like unconditioning that the person conditioned you to behave that way, and there's this dynamic going on. Yeah, so many reasons why.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because there are so many factors influencing your personal freedom choices.
Yeah,
I'll say, like, how you choose to be living your life.
yeah,
Um, so many things that go into that. And I'm kind of stuck here for a minute, because let's start with the thing that no one wants to admit or talk about or blame, is our upbringing, our parents.
mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about that for a minute. And some clients that we've had, or some people that we've known, or wherever we got the information from is irrelevant, or maybe even our own experience. But I think parents have a major, major job. And the foundations class, we'll talk about that for a minute. When I first got that textbook and we started going through like in utero shit, and how that influences
Yeah,
the development of a human being, and
mm-hmm.
each stage and all that we have to know and do, this period of a person's life, which starts in utero,
Yeah,
in order to be a person unencumbered by all this, bullshit trauma that we all have, right? And I was thinking to myself, nobody does this. This is why we're all screwed up. Like nobody does this. Some of
Yeah.
us more screwed up than others, like, but we all have something that needs fixing, right? So,
I mean, none of us are perfect, and I don't think that we need to be fixed. I think we need to learn how to work with what we have.
oh, I like that. You're right.
I feel because
Management, because I talk about that with anxiety. I say I'm never going to not have anxiety. I just have to learn ways how to manage it. So it's the same.
yeah, and your anxiety has helped you at times.
It has.
It has helped you. So it's like a double-edged sword. And so you
Yeah.
just have to learn how to manage that and to channel it in different ways. And it's how you think about it, right? And even with free, I know we're all over the place, but even with how we think about freedom, like I feel like we're never gonna, what does that even mean? Like, are we ever gonna be free? Like I have to wake up, I have to go to school, I have to, so I'm like chained to these things, but am I
Well,
chained to them or is it
I gotta interrupt there because I feel like you have a choice. You don't
okay.
have to go to school. You don't have to be at Stanford right now.
Yeah.
And you're chained to Stanford because you want your doctorate
Yeah.
degree. You want this doctoral degree. You want to help people on a much higher level than you've been doing. You want more information. So you chain yourself, you create schedule for yourself, you
Mhm.
commit to certain things,
Yeah.
right? So that's your personal freedom. And you chose that. And
I did choose that. But I think sometimes the disconnect with people is that they make choices, but then they feel obligated to go through with them. And then that's like when depression comes in
yeah,
and they wake up and they feel dread and they don't want to do anything that they committed to. And they feel chained. They don't feel that freedom,
because
even
they're
though
not aligned with that.
they're not aligned. Yeah. 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 So I guess with freedom has to be alignment in all aspects of your
Yeah, I
life.
feel like you have to act and express yourself in a manner that is in alignment with
Mhm.
your authentic self.
Yes.
And I think your authentic self changes,
Yeah.
right? And I think what you're saying about the chaining, like that you like, for example, starting law school.
Hmm.
When I started law school, and I'm gonna be honest, like I'm not even sure why. I think I really wanted to go a different direction, but that's for another podcast. But I
Hmm.
started law school and then I decided I don't want to be here. But I
Mm.
did so much to get in. You take your LSATs, you fill in all those applications. There was like nothing online. Like everything was paper, 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 and more paper, right? So um I got there and I like, okay, this is okay, but I don't even think I want to practice law. Um, and then one of my friends said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I think maybe I want to be a teacher.
Mm.
And he said, what do you mean you think you want to be? I'm like, well, I'm not so sure. He goes, well, you know what? The 3 years are going to go by anyway. So instead of sitting around doing nothing, you're in. And I had a scholarship. So just stay here and do it and figure it out later.
Yeah.
So then I got, like, and I even had a conversation with someone today where they were telling me like, oh, you can always go back to being a lawyer. You have that. And I'm like, I don't feel like that aligns with me.
Yeah.
I never felt like it aligned with me. When I
Mm.
worked in legal aid, that aligned with me. But
Hmm.
working in legal aid for me with two kids and whatever, helping other family members, legal aid did it also aligned with me being broke.
Mm.
So I couldn't stay there. I had
Mm.
to go in the private sector, right?
So you had freedom in one aspect of your life, but the financial freedom wasn't there,
Correct.
right? There was freedom in maybe getting up every day and doing what you love to do, yes, but in other aspects, the freedom was lacking.
Yes. I was making like $27,000 a year working for legal aid
After law, this was after law school.
after law school. And yes, it was like a million years ago, but there were friends of mine going into big law
Mhm.
making 175,000.
Yeah.
Now big law is like 3 to 500,000. But yeah, they were doing that, and I went to legal aid. I wanted to do like I wanted to help people. I wanted to, and then after a while, it was like, okay, now I'm a single mom. I can't. I was still married at the time to my kid's dad, and I'm like, I can't be here anymore. I
Mhm.
have to, and I went into private sector,
Mm.
and then I didn't get to do the things I wanted to do with my kids, and then it just was like until I decided to leave that and open my own firm. And, it's just so much juggling, but then I don't get the prestige and the money and the benefits. And I have to pay for my own benefits. And now, just so much attached decision making attached to having real personal freedom,
Yeah.
you know. And you're right. There are strings attached.
Yeah. So I guess it's how we look at it, because truly there's no real freedom.
But
And
how free do you want to be is
I
the
know, right? How
podcast.
free?
So
Yeah.
yeah,
How free, like to what extent, whether it's
right.
financial, it's personal freedom, it's relate in a relationship, right? Because some like polygamy, people go into polygamy because they want that freedom to be with anyone. Some people don't want that
And have
free.
40 kids and
I
be a
mean,
sister wife.
I was just talking to my mom, like polygamy is on the rise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you've been hearing, but like it's becoming normalized. It's becoming more common.
So we have to make a note that we're going to talk about that because I think that that ties in to why there's so much cheating going on. Like people cheat, like a lot of people just cheat, or they
Oh, yeah.
just don't stay in relationships long time.
Yeah.
Every 10, 5, 10, 7 years, they're rolling into another relationship, whether it be a marriage, long-term relationship, or maybe, well, a bug just came in, or maybe, yeah, they want to be with whomever they want to be. And yeah, so we have to make a note of that. That's a really good one.
Yeah, maybe you can have like a relationship expert come in and talk about why they think polygamy is on the rise in our society.
It's a great one. It's a great one. So from a psychological perspective, let's say personal freedom tied to autonomy, self-determination,
Yeah, and I think
sense of agency, right?
with more freedom, I think comes more happiness, self-fulfillment, purpose in life. The less freedom you have, the lower the quality of life. If we're kind of making it like a mathematical. If like let's just look at any aspect of life. Financial freedom. Hmm, not necessarily.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah,
say,
I feel like I chose a hard one.
you just
Because there's some people that, I mean, there's a study that was done after 70K, there's really no change in quality of life or happiness with people. So someone making 120,000 a year and someone making 400,000 a year, it's not about the money. It's really about the decisions they make, the quality of their relationships, their mindset. That's what actually is the determining factor of if they're actually happy or not.
yes, and I was gonna say that I know plenty of people with plenty of money who are plenty miserable, right?
Yeah,
And I know plenty of people with not plenty of money who are living their best life.
so true. I
And
mean,
they're happy to save up for vacation and they don't get to fly first class, and vacation might come every other year, but they are so happy. And,
Yeah.
and there have been people who've traveled to the poorest parts of the world, and you see these little kids smiling.
Mm-hmm.
They have these big bellies because they don't have enough food to eat
Yeah.
and just have that hunger bloat,
Yeah.
and their flies landing on them, and they're smiling.
Yeah.
They're smiling.
Yeah. I mean, when I visited Jamaica, some of the happiest, peaceful people, peace and love. Everybody's saying peace and love, peace and love. Yeah, man. They're like so happy, and it's just like such a great vibe. And it's not because they're the richest people in the world either, right? Money doesn't buy happiness.
So cliche.
And money can help give you more time to spend with people that you love and
Yes.
to give you that time freedom. But there
Well,
are some people who work so much, they have a lot of money and they spend all their time working.
right. And then they just need to hope that they live long enough to spend the time with their whoever's left in their life, because a lot of times when you're working like an animal, you burn relationships, right? So whoever's left in their life, and but now their kids are grown, so they missed a lot or they don't see them as much. And it's
Yeah.
like there's a whole trade-off, which was a big deal in my life. Was a
Yeah.
big deal. And I told my kids the Bacardi story today, and I won't waste time on it here, but opportunity for me to go somewhere, big fancy job, traveling. I didn't take it.
Mm.
And for a lot of reasons, not just, being around my kids more, but at that time their father was hanging around. Like, I can't take them from him. That we would have to leave New York, and I'm not going to be able to see them that much. And I can't do what I'm doing now, just tell everybody to blow off so I can go on a school trip. I'm starting at the bottom. I'm new, this place. I'm going to miss their whole childhood, and I struggled financially a lot during that time,
Yeah.
you know, um, but I didn't take the job. Do I regret it? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. I have these two amazing humans as children, right? So that I love spending time with, who work hard, that they're compassionate, they love babies and animals. Well, if you love babies and animals, like you're like, I can't even say I love babies, so they're better than me.
Mhm, mhm.
I love animals. um,
You can't
but yeah,
trust people that don't like animals. I don't
huh?
know. You can't trust people that don't like animals.
I'm with you.
If you
I don't
like,
even
if you
I don't
don't
even
like
talk
a
to
little furry friend, then I don't know. There's something going on. I'm just kidding, but
them.
kidding, but
Oh,
I'm not.
I'm not. I'm not. So, no, but going back, so I think it just entails like a lot of, you set and you pursue personal goals.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Mhm.
And whatever happens along the way happens along the way. But and then I think surrounding yourself with people who allow you to do that, because there are a lot of people who try to squash that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're talking about like values. Like, what do you value? You value time with your family rather than going to make more money, right? Some people, it's the opposite. Some people want to use their time doing other things. And also surrounding yourself with people with those like similar values so that there's no conflict. Because when
Right.
there's a difference of values, there's huge conflict.
Yes. Yes. And I noticed in a lot of the relationships that I've had over my life with friends and significant others, etc., that's where the biggest problems were. I looked at something they were doing or how they were living, and I'm like, why is that happening? Like, well, what is going on there?
Yeah.
Um,
One of my clients says 2 plus 2 is 4. But when my kids tell me something and I disagree, I'm going to start saying to them, 2 plus 2 is not is 3 to you, but it's 4 to me. So it's never gonna work. And
Right.
that's like her funny way and like very lighthearted way of telling her kids, like, no, like we're never gonna see eye to eye. I see it this way, you see it this way. And no matter how much we talk about the situation, it's just we're never gonna be aligned.
Right. But what's really important about that is another, I think, a really big aspect of freedom is acceptance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
accepting that it is what it is, and you're not better than me, I'm not better than you. It just is what it is. And a lot of people won't go there.
Yeah.
They need to be right, their way or the highway, or they look at you like you have three heads. They
Mm.
don't just accept you for who you are and what your beliefs are. I have a problem accepting people's beliefs that hurt other people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't really care.
Yeah.
If they don't align with mine, I have choices.
Mm-hmm.
I could stay, still interact with you. I can go, never interact with you. I can limit my interaction with you. I can only talk about certain things with you, not go to certain things. Like there are choices I can make as a free person, right? So now going back to freedom, I'm with you and you don't allow me to be free. So you keep fighting with me. You keep trying to convince me to do it your way. You keep trying to convince me that your way is the only way or your way is the right way. Or even that, not even that, my way's wrong.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
having an open mind, not listening to me. Um, you don't have to agree with me, but don't invalidate or belittle me, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to close this door because bugs are coming in. Hold on one second. I love this. He just looked at me like, you close the door. Suppose I want to go outside.
Yeah.
Um,
With people who try to invalidate or take away other people's freedom, I think it's because they themselves do not feel free.
yes. Have you ever like had a conversation with or had a client or something that would bring you right there where you know that they feel restrained? So they're very judgmental because
Yeah.
so they don't want to be alone in that restraint. So they like trying to pull you in or others in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think usually it's from the childhood. Usually it's from someone taking control from that child. And so as an adult, they are regaining that control. They're living out their childhood. They're living out those behaviors from what they saw they're modeling their behaviors that they saw as a kid, or they're trying to regain that control that they never felt that they had.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's difficult when one person in a relationship wants that freedom and the other person is sees it in a different way or
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really value that freedom.
I think what limits people's personal freedom is their inability to adapt and inability to be open. That maybe some thought process that they have or some experience that they've had is not ideal right now in this time in their life. You know how we always talk about um, releasing all from you that no longer serves you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and some people, they're like sort of trapped. I feel like they're trapped in doing things that no longer serve them. or that someone, like you said, childhood. Sorry, but people say, don't blame your parents. Sorry, somebody did some bad shit to them too, probably, right? So somebody's got to break the chain and talk about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
Have to be aware that was a trauma or that was something that isn't necessarily healthy. You have to be aware of that in order to change it. If you're not aware of it, then you're just living your life. You're just living your life, going through the motions. People are, you might be burning bridges, or you might have anxiety and not know why, and blaming other people, and it's you, but never me. So, I think with this conversation that we're having, and with just like freedom in general, I think there needs to be in like overall awareness of like that change that needs to happen, or that evolution that needs to happen as a person.
yes, yes. And change is hard, and it's scary.
Yeah.
So people get stuck, and it's really sad because if you don't grow through your experiences and you stay stuck, I don't know what happens to you. Like, it can't be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think stuck is also stuck is from person to person. I mean, I think stuck is the opposite of freedom, right? You're stuck, you're in.
Yeah. Yes.
I forgot the Bob Marley quote. It's like, only us can free our, that what I'm talking about? It's like something about freeing our minds. Are you
Oh, I
looking?
know what you're talking about. Let me see if I can find it really quick while I ask you about I had a question I was gonna ask you. Mhm. So one thing that happens to lots of us as children, our desire to express ourselves is stunted because we keep being told, no, that's not good. We don't do that. We can't do that. You should do this. You should do that. You should not, right? So, huh?
Expectations.
Yeah. So it's like, so the expectations of others become, and I know this really well, they become the fiber in the fiber of your being,
Yeah.
and um they scare you to deviate. It scares you to deviate from that.
Yeah. So you're operating from a place of fear.
Yes, yes. And I'm gonna find Bob Marley's song because now it's bothering me, and
You
that's
know which one I'm talking about. It's like,
I do.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, mine. No fear from atomic energy. Na, 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 na,
yeah, yeah. The Freedom Song. It's called the Freedom Song.
Oh, okay.
Freedom Song. Bob Marley, I think. Oh, the Redemption Song.
Redemption song.
Redemption Song. Yeah, here it is.
He said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but
Yes,
ourselves can free our mind.
should
None
be our
but our.
theme song. But we'll have to get permission from the family. We'll use it until they try to sue us.
Zoom is so good at blocking out. I can't hear any of that.
Oh, you can't? Oh, right. From the bottomless pit,
So good.
none was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We move forward in this generation triumphantly. You help me sing these songs of freedom. Abraham. Let me see if I can put it on the sound. Redemption song.
So good.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll do it next time. I'll add the sound. I think I have to do it before I press the. Oh, there's the part.
And I love when I saw this interview, he was like, the interviewer was like, you have a lot of riches. You're like a rich man. And he said, rich in what way?
Uh,
Riches, like physical riches, jewelry. He's like, no, I have, I forgot what he said. He's like, I have a, basically his mind, his soul was rich, but not in the way, the richness was not in the way that the interviewer was talking about.
yeah, just that song just said, we only we can free our minds. Yeah. And not to, I have to get the right words, but be a mental slave.
Yeah. I mean, even slavery in America, right? That was brainwashing. That was years of, so not only were blacks enslaved, like literally physically, but also, I mean, the laws as well and all of that, but also mentally.
Yes. Many did not try to deviate from their class. They were just like, I'm black and I'm
That's just the
whatever.
way it was.
Yeah, that's the way it is. I'm black. This is where my place in life. And what the heck are you trying to do? Go to school. Get over here and do whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you
And
mean you want to be president one day? Are you out of your mind? This is the
mhm.
way it's supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like an extreme case, right? But
Yeah.
even just like people now, there's it's just we put chains on ourselves, others put chains on us, and we just only we can actually free ourselves.
Yes. Thank you, Bob Marley. And we have fears that are, and I'll tell you one of my biggest fears. My whole life was fear of failure.
Mm,
I had a lot of pressure to do well in school, to be great at whatever I did. Um, there was no support for failure.
yeah.
Like if I used to tell my kids, if you try your hardest and work hard and get a C, then it's a C.
Hmm.
And we just tried something different to do better next time.
Yeah.
But if you're just laying around playing video games and get a C, I'm going to be pissed.
Of course. Yeah.
Right. But if you try your hardest, a C is a C. You're a C right now. You want to be a B? Let's see what we can do to be a B. But I never got that type of, like, my generation, that was not something that was available on the most part. It was like, you do well in school. And when I went to school, I went to Catholic school in Brooklyn, and the nuns would hit you.
Hmm. Hmm.
They would hit you. And if I went home and told my mom that sister so and so hit my hand or pulled my hair, I had these long braids and they would just go like that. What? My dad, he would say, well, why'd she hit you? What did you do? There wouldn't be like, how dare this person touch my child?
Because you deserve that
I deserved it.
because you did something wrong.
It didn't matter that Sister Mary Frances was batshit crazy and hated kids and hated her life. All that mattered is that she pulled my hair and I had no one to tell. So there are a lot of things in, I'm feeling like this generation is a little overkill. I'm just gonna say it. Everybody's feelings get hurt. Everybody runs to, save me, or whatever. I mean, it weakens people from making decisions, from actually being free. I think when you're weak, really weak, I'm not saying that you have to be perfect, that you have to be free from mental illness and free from physical illness. No, I'm not saying that. I have mental illness. I'm diagnosed anxiety disorder. Depression comes infrequently, but it has come. Um, and I'm fully aware and responsible for that
Yeah.
disease,
Yeah.
right? And I exercise my personal freedom by doing the work and showing up for my own life
Yeah.
and not blaming and feel sorry for me, pity party, victim, because
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody gives a shit
Yeah.
when
I
it
like
comes to me.
when you mean weak, you mean not taking charge of your own life.
Yes,
And
thank you.
yeah, I don't want people to come after you, Maria. She said that people are weak now. That's what people are gonna say. No, I hear you and I agree that it's the resilience that you're talking about. It's even though my parents did this and I grew
I'm
up
gonna
like,
say weak, Lexi, sorry. Because when there's no resilience, you're the weak link.
yeah, but how do we build that resilience?
You
Especially if,
have to want to.
yeah,
You have to show up. You have to be accountable. You have to be responsible. You have to want to. You have to have a willingness to
yeah.
not say, you need to do this for me. It's your fault. You need to pay for this. You need to help me.
And there is kind of, for what you're describing, there's like a grit and like that hustle, that you have that's required in order to get out of a tough situation. Anybody who's been through a hard time, they've had to like buckle down and like get through their shit. Right? It's like it's hard. It's not easy. Nothing in life that you really want is going to come easy, because then everyone would have an amazing perfect life and everyone would be the happiest person in the world and
Right.
most successful person.
Right.
So yeah, it's that resilience.
I'm not a political person. You know me. I worked in election law for a minute, like 20 something years ago, and I turned off from all politics after that.
Mhm,
So what I say has no religious, political, or anything. It's just my observation.
mhm,
It's just my observation. And even when I was at NYU, I was afraid to say something because I was always hurting somebody's feelings.
mhm.
And I didn't know how. And sometimes I felt like I was really trying to say the right thing. And I just like, shut up. I'm like, Maria, you're just too so stupid for this generation. You don't know anything about how to talk to them. I just didn't know. And I'm learning now
Yeah.
because I have a lot of smart young people around me, like yourself, that when I make a mistake, they laugh at me and they say, Maria, you can't say that.
Well, I hear what you're saying and I agree with you. I think a lot of what we're seeing now is, I don't even know. It's there is like some weakness and some sensitivity, but then also I think people are, extra aware and like kind of like hyper vigilant because there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on too.
Yeah,
A lot
but
of
that,
hatred and it's like it's
yeah,
extreme, right? It's like the hatred and then the really extreme, like woke, really conscious people who like attack everybody who says like missteps and see something as a misstep even though it wasn't a misstep, and they take things out of context, and also the internet and social media. It's like all this information is being spread so quickly. I'm going all over the place, but it's
no,
so,
you know what? I think that, yeah, the internet does have a big part of it, a big part in it. Um,
because like you could say something problematic now, or I could say something problematic, and then someone in like Australia hears it 5 minutes from now, and then now it's like they make a page, the Lexy Hate Club page, and my career is ruined, and then I'm done
yeah,
for like
yeah,
the rest of my life. But you know what I mean? It's so
yeah,
easy to
yeah,
take things and run.
yeah, yeah. And I know, like you say, I need to be careful what I say, but I'm just like, I'm just, look, if I can't be my authentic self when I'm telling everyone else to be their authentic self, then what am I doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like the whole premise of extra core wellness is for us to get healthy mind, body, and spirit, create a community where we respect and align. Because if I said something to disrespect you or something that hurt you, and you told me about it, I would want you to teach me what I
Yeah.
did wrong, so I
Or
could figure out if I want Lexi in my life, how not to do this anymore around Lexi, or maybe there is absolutely something that I need to catch up on here, right? Because I am from another generation, right? Than Lexi. So maybe there's something I need to catch up on. And I need to be open, like we're saying about personal freedom, right? Being
Mhm.
open minded and adapting with each and every experience
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not always having to be correct.
And letting go of that judgment too. Like if you say something that maybe rubs me the wrong way or offends me, I'm not going to be like, Maria's a bad person. Maria doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. No, Maria said something that hurt me, but I can have a conversation with Maria and say, this is how I feel. And
Right.
Maria can take it the way she wants to take it, and we can have a conversation about it, and we can resolve and repair. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how relationships grow and they become stronger with that healthy repair.
Yes. I think that's what is lacking a lot around us. And
Yeah.
you hit the nail right on the head. Resolve and repair. A lot
Yeah.
of people are, and this is what stifles people's freedom, is their fear of judgment, fear of rejection,
Mhm.
perfectionism, right?
Yeah.
Um, Fear of failure, which would be going into a room at NYU with a bunch of people who are 30 years younger than you and saying the wrong thing. You're failing at blending in with your cohort.
Yeah.
You're being judged and rejected by them.
Yeah. Social
You're,
anxiety.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
And
being
now,
mind that other people are judging you. If I say this the wrong way, people aren't going to like me. That's social anxiety. And I had a lot of that when I moved to California.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of social anxiety, less so now because I've worked on it. But yeah, like a lot of in being in my head during social situations.
Well, because you're from New Jersey, you can't help it. No, I'm kidding.
What does that mean?
You know what New Yorkers say about New Jersey people?
What do they say? Oh, well, yeah, a lot, but what
I don't
specifically?
know. I don't really know. I'm just trying to make a joke. Obviously, didn't go anywhere.
No, no. I mean, yeah, yeah, there was a lot of social anxiety and like, am I gonna even in class, I was like, oh, like all these people are so smart. What if I say something and it's wrong and then everyone thinks I don't deserve to be here and all this stuff. I was on the wait list. Oh, maybe I actually don't deserve to be in this program and like it's a spiral.
Yeah,
It's just like how do you solve that or how does that get better? Just like looking inward and
yeah,
affirming yourself. Like, I do deserve to be here. I
yeah,
am a valuable person. I
yeah.
am a successful person. Like, I don't need to be this way to be successful. And like core beliefs.
Right,
If I make this amount of money, then I am successful. Okay, but then your success is dependent on this one thing. And so if you fail or if you don't meet that goal, then you start to feel bad about yourself,
right.
right? So like your success is dependent on all these other things rather than having like that internal sense of I am a successful person.
Yes. And I had someone who would have to remind me that a very dear friend of mine, we went to law school together, and I used to see her in court. She worked for one place, I worked for another place, and she would say to me, I don't understand why you're working for those people. Like that firm, I don't know why. You were so much smarter than all of those attorneys. You
Mm.
kick ass every time you come in here. She used to build me up, build me up, build me up. She goes, you could have your own kick ass firm. And
Yeah.
like, she's only saying that because she loves me. She's my friend.
You pushed that away. You pushed the
Yeah,
positive things that she said away.
yeah. And then I had another friend who I would say self-deprecating things about myself without even knowing it. And
Mm,
she would say, I wish you could see yourself the way the world sees you.
yeah.
And that's those things, as I got sick of feeling the way I was feeling and wanted to change my life and was wanted to get off the hamster wheel and just wanted to feel differently and wanted to be different. Um, I started thinking about all these things,
Yeah.
and that gave me the push. It was the voices of others that gave me the push. And I think that's what I wanted to do at Excore Wellness too. I wanted like us to get this community together to
Yeah.
give people the tools and the push that they need to free themselves from the
Yeah.
bondages of self, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome,
Yeah. Yeah.
the fucked up wiring in their brain that tells them that they're not good enough, that tells them that they don't belong. I went through a lot of stuff, people telling me I didn't belong. When I was a little girl, my father took us out of Brooklyn into an all white Italian Irish neighborhood in Brooklyn. We were the only quote unquote the spics in the neighborhood. That's what they called us. And my brothers used to be chased home because they only knew that I had a mother who was either Puerto Rican or part Puerto Rican or something. They didn't know anything else about my family, but that was enough for them to chase them home from school, my brothers home from school, to tell me my hair was too curly, my nose was too big,
Mhm.
whatever they were telling me, I didn't belong. I didn't belong. And I grew up with a lot of that. And I think as women of color too, especially my generation, is much better now. It's not great, but it's much better. Um, I was told that over and over and over and over again, even by my own family, what my role was in the world, like we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, and those core beliefs follow us. I
Yeah.
do not belong.
Yes.
That's a core belief. And
Yes.
so that's how you kind of navigate the world. You feel, and that looks differently for each person. Some people try to overcompensate, some people hide in the background, they have low self-confidence.
It's
Some,
like handcuffs.
yeah, and you're just proving to yourself that, okay, I am enough. I do belong.